All right, all right. That. All right. Hello. Good afternoon, or evening, or whatever you want to call it. It's Tuesday. It's ScorchCast time. Yes, I know it's generally on Sundays, but given the fact that it was a very busy weekend for me, as well as going to the Chiefs game last night on a last minute kind of deal. Special thanks to Gavin and Tom Kirk for having me. I truly do appreciate it. It was a ton of fun, and we'll get more into that a little later. But for right now, welcome everyone. This is the Burn Casey ScorchCast. Um, got a few things to talk about this fine Tuesday evening. My voice is obviously a little shot from last night's game, so I'm kind of like talking a little quieter than I normally do. If y'all can't hear me, go ahead and put it in the comments, and then I will proceed to try and up the audio on this a little bit once I release it. Um, that being said, let's just go ahead and get started. First thing I wanted to talk about was the weekend in rugby. Kansas City Blues had a D1 and D3 matchup this past weekend. So let's get into that a little. Kind of talk about that a little bit, shall we? Unfortunately, the Blues D1 did not come away with a win this past weekend, which kind of puts a big hit on their playoff hopes. Metro went out and beat them. I believe 42-22 was the final score. I'll have to check and see on the Instagram just to clear it up once I get through all of this. To kind of correct myself just in case. Um, so that it looked like a really good game. Um, Again, the final score did not show the Blues' effort, um, and the Blues' effort was pretty mighty. Um, and it looked like they had a decent chance to win up until that second. Excuse me, that second half where Metro just kind of opened up on them again. Um, it seems to be kind of a trend. Metro's always given the Blues a little bit of trouble over the past couple of years. They've now beaten the Blues, gone undefeated against them about 5 years in a row now. It's unfortunate. They're a good squad, and I believe that the Blues have the ability to beat them. It's a matter of if, or excuse me, it's a matter of when, not if, um, because there's plenty of talent on that roster. Just gotta make sure that the Blues can be finishers, honestly, because there's been a couple times this season where Blues really haven't finished out the game, and I don't know if that's a, a talent deal or if that's a fitness deal. Overall, I can't really put my finger on the exact thing that causes the Blues to kind of give way in the second half. Um, but it's getting resolved. Then it's getting resolved. And I believe in Coach Pearson. I believe in all of these guys that are here to win, that want to win, that are dedicated to the cause and to the program. Overall, I think the Blues will have a good chance these next couple of years. It just will take some development, is all. It looks like the depth really isn't there this year. Um, I'm not going to say that we didn't expect any sort of career year for the Blues. Um, benchmark year for the Blues this year. Um, but overall, it has been a pretty decent season, all things considered. I think Derek Pearson's done a great job with the program and will continue to do a great job with the program with these next couple these next couple games, the spring season, as well as next year as well for the fall. Um, so unlucky on the part of the D1. The D2, however, took on City, the Kansas City Rugby Football Club, associated with Kansas City, Kansas, not Kansas City, Missouri. Um, they took them on though, and ended up beating them 36-12. I was out there for the game. It was a great time, great atmosphere. Um, City Park is honestly not a terrible field, all things considered. But it was definitely another City versus the Blues type matchup. Very physical, lots of, unfortunately, a few cards, and overall just a rough and tumble type of game, a very physical game um, from both the Blues and from City. Very well well played match from both sides, and just another chapter in the rivalry book between these two teams. We had a lot of really good performances. Holden Seeley was very, very immaculate with the ball. You really like to see that. Poulet scoring some really good tries, and just overall, it was a great team effort from the Blues. They came out with intensity and physicality to match the dogfight that they knew that they were getting into, and they did it with some poise. So, congratulations to the Blues D3 on the win over City. Next week will prove to be another good one. They're going back to St. Louis, so that'll be a good time. Excuse me. And next on our list, we have these guys, the Royals. The Royals are officially cleaning house. Mike Matheny and Cal Eldred, I don't know if you have already heard, are gone off the radar of the Royals, and now the Royals are looking for a new pitching coach and a new manager. And I asked you guys who you think that would be. I didn't expect a whole lot of responses, and I really didn't get any, which is kind of a combo of fan base apathy and just people just not knowing the baseball manager market. Frankly, I don't know a ton about it either. Just being 100% honest here, I don't really know who's going to be available for the Royals to pick for those manager and pitching positions. But in terms of getting someone in there, I think anything's better than what we had with Matheny and especially with Eldred. Shoot, think about maybe bringing Dave Island back. I don't know what he's doing, but he only won us a World Series, so maybe food for thought, JJ. If you want to save your job, at least. In terms of the manager, I really can't think of anybody. I mean, I've seen names like Carlos Beltran being thrown out there. We've got names like George Brett even being thrown out there. I cannot see him in a managerial role. I he was a half decent hitting coach, I guess, but overall, I really can't put my finger on it either. If you're a big baseball nut, leave a comment and just tell me your thoughts, because again, at this point, anything's better than Cal Eldred and Mike Matheny. I mean, that's plain and simple. Um, we could go any direction now, and well, we could really only go up, thankfully. But just again, anything's better than Cal Eldred and Mike Matheny. You've got a young core that will rally. You need someone to. You need someone that these young guys, this young roster, really can rally around and you know be able to see a future with. Um, Obviously, not with Mike Matheny and Cal Eldred. That was not the case. In fact, they actively worked against the young roster. Um, so you just kind of have to have a guy that is going to be your guy for the next couple of years, um, for quite some time, and it's got to be a guy that will have will have those young guys be that he's got to be a motivator. I mean, plain and simple. Above all else, I think the Royals have the tools to be good, and really all they need is a motivator and a modern manager. And looking at the baseball manager market right now, there's not a ton of that. At least from a guy that has a very basic knowledge of it. I mean, obviously Tony La Russa is not going to cut it. Not only because of what he did with the White Sox, but also the fact that he's almost 90 years old and just needs to retire already. So yeah, I saw his name out there and I immediately shook my head of just like, there's no way. So just kind of rule him out. I can see a former player. I can see um, maybe we pick a guy from excuse me, from one of the bigger clubs roster um, to be the manager, but overall, I again haven't the faintest idea of who that could be. So moving on to the Kansas City Current. Um, Kansas City Current are officially in the playoffs. It's coming down to the wire here in terms of. Let me just look at the playoff schedule here. Okay. So Sunday, October 16th at 4, they will go up against the Houston Dash, who's a pretty good team. That's the one. I don't know if you guys keep up too much with any NFL football outside of the Chiefs, but J.J. Watt's fiance, I think, plays for them. Um, or at least she used to. I think she's actually with Chicago now. Um, but they're a good club. They're the 1 seed, or no, they're the 4 seed, while Kansas City's the 5. Um, but Houston's got the home field advantage, unfortunately, because of kind of the skid that the Current went through um, for those last couple of games. So unfortunately, they have the home field advantage. However, I think this is still a very winnable game. They played the Kansas City has played the Dash well in the contests that they've had with them. So I personally have a lot of faith in this squad to go far. They have a winning attitude. They have a strong core that can score goals at a whim, really. Um, and they've got a wall at goaltending, no matter who you put in there. So it'll be a good game, but I believe that the Current will pull out a win, and then we can fight live to fight another day. Um, this team truly is special, so I would love to see them go far in the playoffs and make this excuse me make this make the city proud. Bring them another championship. That would be great. You know. Um, and obviously with what's happening in the NWSL and um, the Current basically leading the charge against kind of the corruption and the general just everything that is happening with the NWSL. I don't know if any of you have been keeping up with it, but there have been multiple abuse allegations. There's been embezzlement. There's been a lot of coaches, players, and organizational members that have been a part of kind of this ring of cover ups and just making sure that you know rampant abuse and violent acts go unpunished. All in the name of sport. Unfortunately, it happens quite a bit, and it stinks that this game that sports get such a bad rap because of people like this, because of the toxic attitudes that permeate throughout an organization. I mean, you could really say that with any business organization that's grown to be a large international base. That's grown to have a large international base. But I mean, in sports, it's very public, and it it gets messy, unfortunately, and it's gotten messy for the NWSL. A lot of players and coaches and organizational members have stepped down, have found their way out in order to uh, bring at least a sliver of justice. Um, but unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot to justify in terms of these acts and what happened. Frankly speaking, they just need to find their way out of the sport and find their way out of the organization and be held accountable. And I think the Kansas City Current not only is doing a great job on the field, but also off the field at recognizing these situations and working with the NWSL, at least the ones that weren't involved with this scandal, to make sure that it doesn't happen again and that the people get their just due. So kudos to that front office. Again, I don't know and frankly speaking, they broke ground on the new stadium today. I mean, this is truly one of the most revolutionary sports teams going around right now, and they're not getting the respect that they deserve from the city. So please go watch these ladies, go support them. Um, yeah, Brittany Mahomes is an owner, and honestly, if that scares you away because of your opinion of Brittany Mahomes, it's ridiculous. Number one, she's really not that bad of a person. Um, is she loud? Yeah, but wouldn't you be if you were dating the, or excuse me, were married to the best, arguably the best quarterback of all time, um, in Patrick Mahomes? That your high school that was your high school sweetheart that you supported throughout all these years. I have a feeling a lot of you would change your tone if that was you in that situation, frankly. And I have nothing but respect for her. She's done so much for the city, and really just has a good head on bleh, a good head on her shoulders, and the disrespect that Brittany Mahomes gets is completely out of line, but especially from her own city that she's chosen to call home for as long as the Mahomes family will be here. And judging by Patrick's contract, that's gonna be a while. So, frankly speaking, the haters are gonna hate. Kansas City Current's a great squad. Go watch them. Support this new stadium and just it, I can't sing the praises enough about this organization. I mean, they're truly one of the best sports organizations to support because of what they've done on and off the field. So go support the Kansas City Current. Um, Moving on from that, let's get into some fantasy football, some lighter hearted stuff before we really get into the juicy stuff with the Chiefs game. Because I don't know if you've been on social media or watched the game last night, but there's some stuff that we gotta talk about regarding that. So let's go to fantasy football though. Boy howdy, you'd think with it being my own league, I would be doing better, but I am currently one and I'm gonna choose to another hard fought week. Thanks. I am currently 1-4, and woo baby, that is not great because oh my gosh, yeah, I'm just looking at this. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my stuff right now. And I should be looking at the league. Wow, I am not, well, I'm tied, but I am not last in the standings, thankfully. I'm tied for last, but, but, gosh, get out of here. Sorry, ads and stuff. But in the East, we have pretty tight competition. Um, we've got Tyler Merrigan at 3-2. Atop of the East, and that's kind of a far cry from the West, who has Clayton Merrigan, the average Joe's, at 5-0. He is the lone undefeated team. The rest of them, they're between 3-2, 2-3, 3-2 looks to be the average record for the league right now. We've got Steinleys, Plowboys. The Crowhawks are at 2-3. But the Steinleys, Plowboy, and Tyler Merrigan all checking in at 3-2 with second in the league. So that's a three-way tie for second in the league. And then we've got Brandon Elfitz with the Berlin Twist Takers at 2-3, as well as my mom, Missy D. Dunder, and the Crowhawks at 2-3. And then sits myself and Courtney Merrigan at 1-4. Boy howdy, it's been a real bad week for fantasy football for me. Let me tell you. I think I won at least one of my leagues, or one of my league games. I believe I did. Yes, I did. Okay, I won that league. I'm gonna try and not talk about my other leagues though. I want to focus on this one. Let's see what all we've got in terms of highest scoring players. Can't eat that. Sorry, let me just look through here. That's the scoreboard. Does it have individual player stats anywhere? Sorry, I've been meaning to screw around with ESPN Fantasy, which is not something that I use too often. I generally use Sleeper NFL Fantasy, but it's a good app still. I don't mind it. Let me look here. Let me look. I don't think there are any player stats, which is interesting. Watch list, blah 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 blah. Top available. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's just available players. Cool. There were a few injuries this week, so just make sure to update your rosters. I know I have to update mine pretty well. Darren Waller and a couple other people are out. So I gotta make sure to remedy that and remedy this god awful losing streak that I'm on. I have now had 3 losses. Um, but shoot, way to go, Mike, for having 3 wins in a row. Wish we could switch places, but unfortunately not. But such is the cruel mistress of fantasy football. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the elephant in the room, the Kansas City Chiefs. So last night, the Chiefs played on Monday Night Football. Yours truly was there at Arrowhead, a part of that. Folks, when I tell you that this is the angriest Arrowhead crowd that I have ever seen, let alone be a part of, I'm not lying. This was the most aggressive crowd I have ever seen at Arrowhead, and rightfully so, because I mean, my gosh, the officiating was just awful, and I again do not say that lightly. I truly don't. If you know my opinion on referees, I mean, I have been one in the past. I don't think officials really have an impact on the game, or at least they shouldn't, but in this case they did. I mean, truly they did, and you're seeing that a lot more with NFL officials nowadays, which I don't know why that would be, but I mean, so as of recent, I guess, especially when it comes to quarterback hits, the NFL's kind of cracking down. I think it's a lot of butt covering for what happened with Tua, which is, I think, ridiculous. If you just, handled that correctly in the first place, this wouldn't be a thing, and you wouldn't have a lot of absolutely livid fans. And, I get it. You're trying to protect the quarterback and everything like that, but you have to be consistent. And the fact that Derek Carr got that call when it wasn't really that much of a pass. In fact, it wasn't a pass interference call. NFL officiating literally said that it wasn't a pass interference call. The next day, yes, but New York wasn't consulted. It's Carl Cheffers at referee, which he's been. Let me talk to you all about Carl Cheffers, because this man is one of the worst referees in the NFL. And I'm not even saying that because I'm a Chiefs fan. But it's got a little bit to do with it. But overall, he's just had so many bad officiated games. I mean, not just with the Chiefs, but overall. I don't understand how he gets the head refereeing job. I don't know how he heads a crew. I guess just because he's been in the league for a few years, but frankly speaking, that's no excuse. He's been consistently bad with his officiating, and it's inexcusable. I mean, you had it with the Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes was getting bludgeoned, and I don't know if it's because he's got some sort of vendetta against the Chiefs or anything like that, but he seems to be especially hard when it comes to the Chiefs. And you know what? I think he may have been humbled last night, frankly, if that is the case, because wow, that Arrowhead crowd was angry. Obviously, you heard chants of "Ref, you suck." A lot of bull. I almost said the word. A lot of bull, calls, just in constant booing. I mean, that's the most I've heard Arrowhead boo since 2012. And, I mean, that again, I don't say that lightly. I mean, I truly think that that was the most I have ever heard Arrowhead boo since 2012, back when we went 2-14. So it is. It was just really funny because when they came out in the second half, there was so many. You could blatantly tell that there were a ton of makeup calls. I mean, as much as y'all want to believe, as much as even myself wants to believe that Devontae Adams did not catch that ball, I think he did. Honestly, I saw that left foot go down in bounds and then the right one, but you know, I really didn't see a bobble. At least, again, I was watching the game live, and I had people going either way with it, and they were all fellow Chiefs fans. Um, it, that was a, it was just a bad officiated game all around. I mean, the NFL has to do something about this. Like they have to. They have to be more transparent and more clear with what exactly they are looking for when it comes to roughing the passer, when it comes to pass interference, when it comes to unsportsmanlike conducts and just general personal fouls. Uh, it has to be clear and transparent. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have hostile crowds towards referees. And frankly speaking, if it were, and nothing against any of these cities, but if it were a crowd like Philadelphia or like Cleveland that's had a lot of referee, or the Saints even, that's had a lot of troubles with the referees, there may be a chance that you're putting these referees in danger when you are not having clear and obvious things to look out for when it comes to having penalties. When it comes to those penalties. When it comes to those penalties. I cannot talk today. I'm sorry, y'all. When it comes to those penalties. And otherwise you're just going to continue to get these angry crowds, these angry people that eventually you're going to drive away because of just how unbelievably bad this officiating is. And it's nothing against the referees, or at least to a point, at least. But you guys just have to do better. And the NFL has to do better. But, I mean, seriously, are we seriously going to call that roughing the passer? And yet, when Patrick Mahomes gets slammed to the turf, nothing happens? It baffles me. And then we have the issue of Devontae Adams. As a Packers fan as well, if you know me, you know that a lot of my family's from Wisconsin. A lot of my family cheers for the Packers, so ergo, I am a Packers fan by proxy. Until they're playing the Chiefs, at least. Devontae Adams, I've never really liked all that much. Don't get me wrong, he is a fantastic wide receiver. He's top 5 in the league. And he's really not in that bottom 2 area. I think he's top 3, honestly. But he's always had that kind of attitude that you look at in a player and you kind of are like, man, I don't know if I really want my kid watching that guy and taking his game after that guy. He's had an attitude problem for years. He's had this reputation of kind of being a dirty player. And that's been the case since his Green Bay days, since his early Green Bay days. And it's come to a head now that he's joined an organization like the Raiders, who's got a mean streak, especially against the Chiefs. I mean, and when that pass interference call was called on Jalen Watson, I don't know if you guys have seen this on social media already. Devontae Adams it probably should have been a penalty on him. In fact, it absolutely should have been a penalty on him. But and I'm not even saying that as a Chiefs fan. Again, there has to be consistent officiating, and there just wasn't. I mean, it was an again. It was one of the worst refereed games I think I have ever seen. And when you have, so here's what happened, just for you know, to clear things up. What Devontae Adams did was him and Jalen Watson were going down the field, down the left hand side, or excuse me, the left hand sideline. I don't. Again, I don't know if you all remember seeing this. Hopefully, I'm painting a good enough picture. But Jalen Watson went up with his hands. He did not. I will give the referees this. He did not have his head turned toward the ball. But there's a reason for that. And that's because Devontae Adams wrapped his arms around Jalen Watson's neck, head and neck area, proceeded to fall down with him and shove Jalen Watson's head into the turf while he had him in a chokehold. And that's not where it ends. Then Devontae Adams proceeds to shove a camera guy on his way out of Arrowhead after the loss. And the camera guy's filed charges, which I believe he has every right to. I mean, like, seriously, Devontae? Like, what? Are you that big of a baby? Are you seriously not skilled enough of a wide receiver, which I know you are, to have to pull Bush League crap like you did with Jalen Watson, who's a rookie corner? Get over yourself. I mean, it's unbelievable how much he got away with last night. And I get it. It was a bad officiated game. But these were blatant things. And really with the entire Raiders. Because another thing is Max Crosby headbutted Patrick Mahomes. They didn't do anything about it. I truly think Carl Cheffers has a vendetta against the Chiefs. I mean, he's a bad official in general, but against the Chiefs, he's absolutely terrible. He's awful. Incredibly biased. Doesn't make the right calls. Or just outright misses them. And just, I don't understand how he's a head referee in the NFL when he can't make these calls. When he has to be bullied into making these calls. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I'm glad we got the win. I'm glad the Chiefs got the win, but golly, that was one of the most frustrating wins I think I've ever watched. Congratulations to Matthew Wright, though, for kicking that 59-yarder, longest field goal in Chiefs history, by the way. He passed Harrison Butker's 58 to win against the Chargers, I think, last year, 2 years ago. Actually, I think it was last year. Last year, I believe. Maybe. I can't remember personally. I'm pretty sure it was last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But just, I don't know. I can't get over the fact of how piss poor, and pardon my French there, but just how poor the officiating was. And just how much the Raiders were able to get away with. I think the NFL needs to sit down and talk about how they referee the games and how they treat player safety. because, frankly speaking, it's gotten out of hand. And no more butt covering, no more makeup calls, no more BS. Just sit down, be transparent, and know what. Don't have this disconnect between referees, coaches, players, and the NFL as an organization. I mean, it's ridiculous. I get it, you guys are huge and everything like that, but there has to come a point where you need to sit down and have a talk to resolve these glaring flaws in your game. I get it. You're the only football league in town aside from the NCAA. And I'm not counting the USFL because, frankly speaking, they're not even close to big enough to compete with the NFL or the XFL or anything like that. Yeah, they get viewership, but guys, come on. I don't know. I have a lot of trouble when it comes to justifying the NFL's actions nowadays. And another thing with discipline too. I mean, my gosh, if Davante Adams doesn't get at least a game or a pretty hefty fine for what he did to that cameraman, I don't care if he apologized. Frankly, apologies mean nothing when you're not held accountable, and when you don't hold yourself accountable. Yeah, he apologized, but he never said anything about being wrong. He only said, "That's not me," which is a complete BS answer. Yes, it is you because you did it. It's cut and dry. You did it, therefore it is you. I don't understand what people don't get about that. So, I don't know. I don't really have much of any viewer comments. Again, I didn't really get anything regarding that discussion. Well, maybe it did. Hold on, let me check. I need to look here. Oh, yeah. And I will talk about KU as well because I'm a dingus and forgot about that. So, also, it was really funny when Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow collided. Peak Raiders right there. Really peak Raiders. Let me check here. Yeah, I don't think I got anything. Let me check the archive, though. I get a lot of responses on my Instagram. Well, there's at least one. It looks like what? Sorry, jeez. But my mom said me when I asked who will be the new Royals manager and pitching coach. She said me. I'd have to be better than Cal, referencing Cal Eldred. And I responded with a random guy off the street named Cal would coach pitching better, and I stand by that statement. So, you know. But that was the only comment that I got on the Royals managerial situation. So let's just go ahead and get into KU football. KU football ended up losing to TCU 38-31 on college game day last Saturday. But it doesn't really feel like much of a loss. I mean, yeah, the undefeated streak is over, but it's against a really good TCU team that honestly I can see breaking into the top 10 and top 5 if they continue to play how they are playing. They are a good, solid program that has a lot of potential, and my hat's off to them for coming to Lawrence and just giving them a real contest. And really, KU football's true test of, this is what the bulk of Big 12 football looks like. The true tough tests that you're going to have. I think that KU finally experienced that, and now that they've experienced it, they know what they need to prepare for. And coming up on OU, who just got trounced against Texas, there definitely needs to be a change in attitude when it comes to preparing for games that are going to be tougher. Am I saying that the Jayhawks did not play their best football? No. I'm merely saying that they finally have a taste of what it's like to play a true ranked opponent in the Big 12. And they've got another one that's pretty typically ranked in Oklahoma. Yeah, they're not ranked right now, and yeah, they're playing with a backup quarterback. And they're 9-point favorites still, which is ridiculous in my opinion, considering how just awful they looked against Texas. Um, I, I think the Jayhawks are prepared is basically what I'm saying now. Now they are. I don't think they were as prepared as they could have been for TCU. I think that defense definitely had some glaring flaws, and just got to limit the penalties. But overall, yeah, I really think the Jayhawks will be fine, and I think they will get that next win to make them bowl eligible for the first time in 15 years. But continuing on, Jalen Daniels got hurt, the Heisman candidate for KU football. He's listed as day to day with a shoulder injury, and he's also listed as doubtful against Oklahoma. That being said, Jason Bean looks really, really good, and I don't know where that came from. I never loved Jason Bean last year, and I wasn't surprised when Jalen got the starting role over him, but I was super impressed with his performance against TCU. That was 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, truly, truly a great performance from a guy that, really, I only thought of as an option quarterback. But he really showed that he can throw the ball as well, and I hope that that upside continues with him. I don't want him necessarily to overtake Jalen Daniels per se, and I don't think he will, but I really liked what I saw from him against TCU, and that's why I'm not really all that worried about OU. So overall, I think KU will be just fine with Bean. So, and then Mizzou, K State, they were Mizzou and K State. K State won, and then I believe Mizzou won. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check, but overall, pretty good week for area college football. So I'm not going to get into high school. I have not done enough research on that. Again, it was a really busy weekend. There will be an article though released here probably tomorrow or day after, breaking down the rankings. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, that's our show today. I'm sorry if you guys couldn't hear me. I kind of talked a little softer so that I don't destroy my vocal cords any more than they are already destroyed. Believe me, I did a lot of yelling last night. But again, it was a great, great time. Special thanks to Tom and Gavin Kirk for having me out and for getting me those last second seats. I mean, you guys are true rock stars, and just two gentlemen and scholars, frankly. So thank you very much for. Truly, I'm very grateful. Um, but that's our show. Leave a comment again if you have any idea who the Royals manager will be, or their pitching coach, or just even give a list of potential names. It could even be you on that list. So, um, yeah, this has been the Burn KC signing off. Have a great night.